Hello and welcome back to another video. For those of you that are new here, my name's Mel and I live full-time in my Mercedes Sprinter camper van, and that's exactly what my channel is all about. And today's Wednesday, so this is Waffle on a Wednesday, where I answer your questions to the best of my ability. I hope you enjoy. Now remember, if you've got any questions for me, then do leave them in the comments section of this video and I'll do my best to answer your questions next week. Right, let's get on with this week's Waffle on a Wednesday. So let's kick off with a question from one of my members. This is from Phil Culp. Phil, thank you for being a member of my channel. I really do appreciate your encouragement and your support. So Phil goes on to ask, since adding a second burner, what are you proposing to do next to your van to get the DVLA to look at motorhome status again? Well Phil, my insurance company is quite happy to accept my van's status as being a van with windows. It doesn't really bother me that they've only classed my van as a van with windows rather than a motor caravan. I'm not really bothered about doing more than 60 miles an hour on the motorway, which is about the only benefit I can see you'll get from having your van classified as a motor caravan. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Well, thanks for the good question. And the next question is also a question from one of my members, and this is Stockholm Jack. Once again, Jack, thank you for your encouragement and your support. I really do appreciate it, and it does make a huge difference to me. And in return, Jack gets to see my videos early and ad-free, as do all of my members. So thank you to all my members. So Jack goes on to say, nice Wednesday waffle, Mel. Thank you, Jack. I was just wondering, when you do your next van build, what would be the biggest thing you would do differently or add to or subtract from this last build? Always good stuff, Mel. Keep it real, matey. Thank you, Jack. That's really kind of you. Well, Jack, there is one thing that I would do differently the next van I build. Hopefully, if I can get my hands on an extra long wheelbase Sprinter, which will be my next project apart from Rebecca's smaller van, but we'll talk more about that later because someone has asked some questions about Rebecca's van. What I personally would like is an extra long wheelbase Sprinter, and the one thing I would definitely do differently, because I've not done it in any of my van builds, and that is the bed. All the vans I've built in the past, I've always had a fixed bed at the back going acrossways. My next van build, I would like to put the bed lengthways in the van, and not only that, I'd like to have two bench seats each side with the cushions at the back, and then at night you have to take the side cushions off, put them in the middle, using the table as a base. And the reason I'd like to do that is so that I can walk out of the back doors, so that the back doors can be open and I can walk in and out of the van through the back doors as well as the sliding door. And also it'd be really nice to be able to sit at a bigger table and edit my videos and do work and so on and so forth. And if Rebecca should happen to join me on my travels, she could sit opposite me and also do what she needs to do on her laptop. I just think it'd be really nice to have that larger sort of dining room sized table, and also the ability to walk out of the van and in the van during the day with the back doors open. So that's the one big fundamental difference I would do in my next van build. Hope that answers that question, Jack. The rest of the layout, I'm not sure. But the bed, definitely. That's the one thing I would do differently. I do hope that wasn't too long-winded. Thanks for the great question. Now, talking about extra long wheelbase vans, John Barrett asks a really good question. Hi Mel, I watch your vids all the time and very good they are. Well, thank you, John. This is the first time I've commented. Is the 5 kilowatt heater overkill, as most vanners have 2 kilowatt heaters? I'm about to start my van build, which is an extra long wheelbase iveco, and would love to know your opinion. Cheers, John. Well, John, if you've got an extra long wheelbase iveco, I would recommend you get a 5 kilowatt diesel heater, for the simple reason I've had a 5 kilowatt diesel heater in this van and it was a little bit overkill, but a 2 kilowatt diesel heater is just about right for this size van, and this is a medium wheelbase Sprinter. If you've got lots of windows in your van, then you're going to need a bigger heater, because you do lose a lot of heat out the glass of your windows. It is something to consider. Plus, if you've got a 5 kilowatt heater, you can actually have those windows open and you get better ventilation as well without losing too much heat, if that makes sense. So the cold air ventilating your van can be replaced with hot air coming from your diesel heater. Basically, I would say the bigger the van, the bigger the heater you're going to need. I would definitely say consider getting a 5 kilowatt heater. After all, they're really cheap, and if you use the link in the description of this video and my discount code from Max Speeding Rods, you'll get that heater for about £80 at the moment. They are ridiculously cheap. And no, this video is not sponsored by Max Speeding Rods. That link is purely there to help you save money. Now, building out an extra long wheelbase iveco is going to be quite challenging, so good luck with your van build. Let me know if you've got an Instagram account. I'd love to see your progress. And yet another question about the DVLA. This comes from Anthony Fairwood. Mel, a quick question. We love a quick question. If your van has been described as a van with windows and not a camper van by the DVLA, do the signs saying no camper vans or motorhomes allowed apply to you? If necessary, would you argue the point? That is a really grey area, I think. I would actually park there, and if I was confronted by a traffic warden or a parking attendant, then I would explain the situation, that my van is in fact just a van with windows. It is not registered as a camper van, although I did try and register it as a camper van. I wouldn't argue with them. I would just explain the situation and let them decide whether or not I should stay or if I need to move. And if they ask me to move, I'd go on merrily along my way, stress-free, and I'd leave them stress-free as well. After all, life is stressful enough without having to be arrogant and argumentative. I don't think there's any need for it, which I think is a nicer way to be. Thanks for the great question, Anthony. Now, I've got a funny feeling I've touched on this subject last week, and this is a bit of a follow-up question. This comes from Tony Richards. How much weight have you gained by building in the van without the water? Well, Tony, I have got water tanks in my van, and as far as the weight is concerned, when you take your van to a weighbridge to be weighed, you must fill your tanks with water. You must have your van fully filled with water, and if you're going to carry passengers, have those passengers with you as well when you weigh your van. Basically, get your van to its heaviest state that it's ever going to be in before you take it to the weighbridge. Otherwise, you still run the risk of driving your van overweight. So it's always a good idea to fill your water tanks, fill your fuel tank before you take your van to a weighbridge. I hope that answers your question in a roundabout kind of way, but I just wanted to make it clear that you do need to fill your tanks with water before you weigh your van. And that is something I still need to address with my van. I've still not weighed it yet. And the reason I haven't weighed my van yet is because I'm still waiting for my diving equipment to come back from being serviced, because I want to weigh my van with my scuba tank in it and all my dive weights and all my equipment as well that I do intend to carry around with me. So I need to wait until I go and pick up all that equipment before I take my van to be weighed. And a lot of people have asked me to make a video about that, and of course I will. I will be making a video about the weight of my van. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then please do, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, because you may find that video mildly entertaining and even informative. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Now, this next question is a really good question. It is something that I've given some thought to as well in the past, but I've never actually put those thoughts into action. And this comes from Ando Service Voice Actor. Action. Talk about action. Hi Mel, I'm still searching for a van and enjoying the research and learning all about van life. What about water harvesting and capture? Haven't seen many videos on YouTube except from the USA. I think this would be a great asset for van, very eco and cost efficient, especially here in the UK. Have you looked into it? Many thanks, Endo. Yes, Endo, it is something I've given a lot of thought to, and I was thinking in my mind, wouldn't it be a good idea to make some kind of guttering system around my solar panel? My solar panel's huge, and then it can collect water using the guttering system and run it straight down into my fresh water tank. The only thing that kind of puts me off is like stuff like leaves and bird poo and stuff like that. I need to find a way that you can filter that. Now from experience in Australia, they do exactly that with their houses, and they have like a mesh system in their guttering. Yeah, it is something I've thought about, and it is something you could probably do, and it would be a good idea, but just bear in mind, yeah, the risk of disease from bird poo and such. Nastinesses. Nastinesses, is that a word? Yeah, we'll go with that. You know what I mean. Brilliant question, and definitely food for thought. If any of you guys have done this, then please do leave a comment in the comments section of this video. Let me know if you're catching rainwater off your roof and feeding it into your freshwater tank. I'd be really interested to know. What a brilliant idea, and it makes perfect sense, especially here in the UK. Now, last week's waffle on a Wednesday, I spoke about whether or not it's illegal to sleep in your camper van, and I just happened to mention that the new law of no sleeping in cars overnight was introduced to stop people from sleeping in their vehicles whilst drunk. And this struck me as quite reasonable, but a lot of people left comments about this saying that wouldn't you rather have people sleeping in their cars drunk rather than people driving home drunk? Surely it makes sense to let people sleep in their cars drunk. But that to me is absolute nonsense. It's absolutely crazy. If you're going out for the night knowing that you're going to drink, then the simple answer is leave your car at home. Otherwise you're going to be tempted to drive it back home after you've been drinking. And also, if you do end up sleeping in your car overnight because you're inebriated, in the morning when you wake up, the chances are you're still going to have alcohol in your blood. So if you get behind the wheel of your car and start driving home in the morning and get pulled over and breathalyzed, you're gonna fail that breathalyzer test. And the simple answer is, if you're going out socialising and you know you're going to drink, either have a designated non-drinking driver or leave your car at home. It's as simple as that. There's no excuses for drink driving. It is an absolute nonsense argument that you'd rather sleep in your car drunk than risk driving home drunk. To me, that is complete craziness. There's no justification for that type of argument. If you disagree with me, then do leave a comment in the comments section of this video. It's the same for your camper van. My profession used to be driving. I used to drive HGVs for a living. I also used to deliver cars from car auctions for a living. I was a professional driver, and for that reason I just simply did not drink. And if you live full time in your camper van, you should think about drinking as well, because if you lose your license through drinking, you're going to lose your home. Is it really worth the risk getting drunk just to have a good time? You really don't need to get drunk to enjoy yourself. Just think about that one thing. Is it worth losing your license and your home just for a good night out? Me personally, I think not. So whether it's against the law to drink in your van or not. So the argument shouldn't be, is it against the law? Is it illegal to drink in your camper van or motorhome when parked up at the side of the road or on a campsite? The simple answer is, if you rely on your licence to drive your van around, then simply don't drink to the point where you're over the limit in the first place. I hope that doesn't upset too many people, but it probably will. Now let's move on to some questions about Rebecca's van. And this comes from John Barrett. Hi Mel, I like the hob. I just wondered, does it have to be connected to 240 volt to ignite, or could the ordinary match or lighter be used? Great vids by the way. Well John, no, the hob that I've got in my van and the hob that Rebecca's got in her van only needs to be connected up to 240 volt purely for the ignition to work. The hob will still work perfectly fine if not connected up to any power at all. The gas safety cut-off is completely mechanical. It does not need power, but you will need to use a lighter to light the gas stove. That's it. And I use a little, hang on, I'll show you. I use this to light my stove when it's not plugged in. These things are brilliant, look at that. Highly recommend these. I hope that answers that question. Now loads of people have asked this question about Rebecca's van, and I'm going to read out Adrian Hyde Photography's question, because he simply starts this question with, just a quick question. You know you love a quick question. Yes Adrian, we do love a quick question. So, are you going to sell or keep it? and that is referring to Rebecca's van. Is Rebecca going to sell her van or keep it? The simple answer to that is she still plans on selling her van. The modifications we've done in her van is to make it that more desirable, because when Rebecca built her van, she built it purely for her own personal needs. She didn't build it to sell it on. So now we've made those modifications, it makes it more desirable to a wider audience. She was also toying with the idea of hiring it out through Camp Quirky, but due to financial restraints and the amount of money she has to put up front, she's decided not to go down that route and just to simply sell it and buy herself a smaller van. And the reason she wants a smaller van is because she's not confident driving such a big van. That's the only reason she wants to sell it. And I do believe Rebecca is going to put her van up for auction on eBay, so go check out her channel if you're interested in buying her van, and she will let you know when that van goes up for auction on eBay. Hopefully that answers that question. Well, I think it's about time we had Troll of the Week.
Troll of the Week.
So congratulations to AIH, you are this week's Troll of the Week. I'll read out his comment. It's rather rude. Rubbish. Light-on batteries are fine. Just use a proper DC to DC charger and attach the third light gauge wire to the ignition circuit where there is power only when the motor is running. Simples. Simples? Isn't that what meerkats say? Maybe I should rename it Meerkat of the Week.
Meerkat of the Week. Because you are simple.
And not everybody can afford such luxuries as those batteries. Most mortals like myself can only afford AGM batteries. In fact, some people can't even afford AGM batteries. Some people have to go to the breaker's yard and buy normal lead acid batteries, just like I did when I first built this van. So AIH, get off your high horse. Not everyone is as privileged as you and can afford such luxury items as LiPo4 batteries. And that's me off of my soapbox. Hi Mel, can I ask you how the GPS tracking device is performing after a year of installation in your van? Greetings. That comes from THS800. Well, THS800, the GPS tracker that I fitted in my van is 100% still working, and I am 100% happy with it, and I highly recommend anybody that's got a vehicle of any shape, size or form, whether it be a camper van or car or a motorbike, fit a GPS tracker. And for those of you that don't know, I have a streetwize GPS tracker installed in my van. It is a really simple tracker to fit. It's got an internal battery and you just use a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and every time someone slams your door or your engine's started up, it will send you a text message to let you know, and it works really well. I shall demonstrate by jumping up and down in my van. There you go. Oops. Going to hide my daughter's address. My GPS tracker is now going off. No matter where I am, well, no matter where my van is parked, this alarm will go off every time my van is disturbed. Let's just turn that off. Now you may be thinking, well, won't it go off all the time whilst you're driving? Well, no, it doesn't go off all the time whilst you're driving, because it kind of realises that you're driving and it stops itself from going off. So there you go. I am 100% happy with my streetwise tracker, and if you go to my Amazon storefront you will find them right there. Now also in my Amazon storefront you will find a multitude of camper van related goodies and stuff that I've used in my van. And if you do go to my Amazon storefront, it doesn't cost you any extra, but I do get a tiny little bit of commission. And I really do appreciate it, because it does make a big difference to my rather humble income, I've got to say. Now I'd also like to say thank you to everybody that takes the time to subscribe to my channel. Even though it's free, it does really make a big difference to me. And if you are new here, I hope I've earned your subscription today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week. Ta-da for now.